What is up, guys? Jibobby, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to teach you how to draw dynamic figures. Now, these are very simple, but before we start, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new, if you want more tutorials on how to draw and challenges and stuff like that, to just become better at drawing and stuff like that. So, to start dynamic figures, I'm going to start with the most basic parts, alright? So, I usually start my figures knowing where the head is going to be. Not really actually drawing the circle, like drawing it like that, but where the head is gonna rest at. And it's about like that, right? Which is also where the neck comes out, and then I draw the head after, but that's gonna be after. Then, of course, I usually just go and draw the shoulder pad connected, and then we have the bottom of the rib cage right here, right? Just very simple like this, all right? And by doing that, to find dynamic figures, usually you would draw the pelvis down here, but we want to make it dynamic. So the way you would make it dynamic is by having the chest and the pelvis as far away as possible without breaking the figure itself, right? So basically, the further away they are without breaking the figure itself, the more dynamic it's going to be. An example of this, I would say it'll be with Jack Kirby's characters. When you look at Jack Kirby's characters, the pelvis and the chest will be so far away that it's super dynamic. So I'm going to draw it, instead of drawing it about here, I'm going to draw it about here, alright? So like this, right? Here's the pelvis, and then we can connect it like that, right? But as you can see, this breaks the entire shape of the character, right? So what I like to do is experiment and see what will be an appropriate length, right? So the length, I would say here would be a good one, right? Without exaggerating, here would be a good one, because then we have it like that, right? Another character, we can make it more dynamic. For example, we got one leg here we got the other one, right? And we can make them throw a punch, right? And the other hand could be here. And then, of course, we could have the head and he's facing that way, right? And by using this technique, you can actually make many dynamic figures. So I'm going to rip this out of the page, all right? Because I don't really need it in my sketchbook right now. And I'm going to turn it around like this, all right? And I'm going to give you a couple more examples. So if you want to have a character at a position of rest, all right? I'll show you an example. Here's where the head is going to rest at. You got the shoulder pad, bottom of a rib cage, like that. And the position of rest would be when the figure is not dynamic at all. It's literally straight like that. And then, of course, you can start adding the legs and arms, right? This is how I always start my figures. And I think you saw that in my how to draw anatomy tutorial. I taught you all that as well. So, gonna get another paper. I'm actually gonna get a bigger one because I'm gonna show you an even better example. All right. A more complex example. Not really that complex, but I think you'll get the idea after it. So, here's where it's gonna rest, right? Shoulder pad, connect, right? Like we always do, like that. And of course, like I said before, to make it more dynamic, they have to be as far away as possible without breaking the figure, right? So usually, don't start like that if you want to make it dynamic, right? You do not want to start like that, right? This is if you wanted to be at a position of rest. To make it as dynamic as possible, we're going to kind of make it tilted. So here's where the head's going to rest, like this, right? And by doing this, it's already a lot more dynamic when we have the pelvis here, right? Connected. And now it already all of a sudden looks a lot more dynamic. Because what we could do now, let's say here's one leg, right? And the other leg is like this, right? And he's tilting for a punch, all right? He is leaning forwards to a punch, because you never see anyone, I'll show you a quick example. You never see any character for a punch be like this and like that, right? And this one is down here because you just lose the balance. Here is even better because you can have this over here and the other one is here, right? And all of a sudden, we have a much more dynamic character than we've had before, right? Because the pelvis and the chest is in the same kind of structure. So that makes it a lot easier. So that's the first step. You do not want to start by having it straight like that, right? Because if you start it straight like this, then it's just going to look weird when you have the pelvis far away like that and it's just puffing out, right? You don't want that at all. That's the last thing you want in your drawing. So basically tilting it, all right? I'll give you another example. So let's say, you know, in Dragon Ball Z when they fuse. So basically, that's another example of a dynamic figure, right? So we're gonna go like this, all right? And the pelvis here, right? Like this. And then we have, I'm drawing this from memory, by the way, just keep in mind, but we have it like this, all right? There we got both legs. Here we have one arm going like that, and the other one is going like this, right? And all of a sudden we have a Dragon Ball character fusing, right? All of a sudden we have a Dragon Ball character fusing or doing this with your hands, it doesn't matter, right? And you can make it even more dynamic, all right? I'm gonna get another page if I have any more pages in the sketchbook. Yes, I do actually have a lot more pages I have. Let's use this one. This is the last page in the sketchbook that I have. I used it too much, but I'll give you this one more example. All right, so I'm going to tell you this again. The further away the pelvis and the further away the chest and the pelvis are from each other, the more dynamic it is, all right? And you want to keep it in perspective. So that's pretty much all you got to do, all right? So we got it like that, all right? Out here, I'm gonna draw another character punching, right? And by the way, this is just the start, all right? This is just how you start a drawing, and after that you need to add all the detail. But for example, so we got our character here, right? And let's say we want him punching, all right? Let's say we want him punching that way. So we're gonna make it a bit better, all right? By having this head be kind of like that, all right? And I'll show you why. Because going to be facing that way, and once we actually draw the character, we can show it, we can put it a bit more up, so about here, right? That'll be good, because then he's facing that way perfectly. And then of course you would draw the pelvis. So let's say we want it as far away as possible without breaking the shape, because you do not want let's see, you do not want a character who's like this, right? And you don't want the pelvis to be all the way here, because look at how broken the shape is now, right? Look at that. It's not too broken, it's pretty good. But if you put it too far away, it's just gonna look weird, right? It's just gonna look weird. No one leans down that much. Another thing that you want to completely avoid, I'm actually gonna use the same paper. You do not want a character here, and let's just say it leans all the way until here, right? Like that. Look at how broken that structure is, right? So in reality, this one is half. The one we're gonna do here will be good, right? So basically, let's say about here, right? This is gonna be the furthest point. You always want to point the furthest point of the pelvis. Not really the furthest point, but where one of the feet are gonna be. These are what these circles are for, to know where the feet are gonna come out of, right? Then we're gonna connect, right? And now we can do a lot of things with this, but it's too far away. The structure would be broken, all right? So you wanna try it again, but closer. So let's say about here. How about, what would it be here? This is actually perfect, because when you have it like that, look, it doesn't break the structure. It is perfect. So then I would draw, let's say here. All right, this is actually a pretty good neck. Not a neck, a pretty good head to be in the position, right? And then let's say here he has this fighting pose. All right, let's just say that's the fighting pose. And then he's throwing a punch here, right? And of course, we got one of the legs going down. The other one is coming like that. And he's leaning in, right? And then from this position, you can change it up. You would erase it just enough so you can see it a bit, and draw the figure on top of it using this, all right? And this is pretty much how you draw dynamic figures. I want you to practice this over and over again. Keep practicing this, and you'll get a lot better in drawing dynamic figures. So I'm going to tell you one more time. The further away the pelvis is from the chest without breaking the structure, that's dynamic. A position of rest if they are aligned, all right? But we don't want it aligned because we want it to be dynamic. This, no. Why is this puffed up and this is like that? This is horrible. This is at a position of rest, all right? He is completely straight. Here, it's dynamic. He's throwing a punch, all right? But anyway, that is how you do it. If you do enjoy this content, be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can become even better at drawing. I hope you all did enjoy this video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.